I actually had a lot of fun reviewing the file full of old newsletters, QCC notes, all kinds of interesting, fascinating information about who we were right at the start. And not to dwell on anything negative, but there was a core group of people who had been hanging out at Unity of Ann Arbor for a number of years and discovered that that wasn't what we wanted to be affiliated with. And a bunch of people said to me, well, let's start our own. And I said, well, that's a little daunting. And the reason I say that is because 27 years ago, when I told Judy that I was planning to head to seminary, she said, so what are you going to do with it? And I said, oh, I don't really know. And she said, well, you can do anything you want except start a church. So that put me between a rock and a hard place, truth be told. And the bottom line is that we were all so desirous of having something that was suited to who we were and who we wanted to be. And we saw a lot of evidence of how not to do it. So it just unfolded, and I have to give you the biggest shout out in the world to my beloved wife, because she was supportive the whole way, did yeoman duty in helping manage all of the events that took place. She was a bookkeeper. She helped with the preparation of the weekly bulletins, which we used to do on printed, fold-out kinds of, with pretty pictures on them. And so we do a fresh one every week. And she was probably on the first meeting of the caring committee and just yeoman duty. So tip of the top hat to my wife and supporting partner in this venture. But one of the things that we had to do was actually organize ourselves. In 87, we filed articles of incorporation as a Michigan Ecclesiastical Corporation, which is a fancy word for saying church, except that we didn't want to be a church. We wanted to be a center of spiritual growth. But then we had to have a board of directors, and we had to have an organizational structure. And all of that took a lot of effort and flying by the seat of our pants. The first board of directors, Annie Kopko was chair, Bob Hopkins was secretary, Sherry Barber, Diana Chapman, and Sally Searles were the members. One of the things that we had to do was to find a place where we could hang out. We started out renting space in the new center, which is up on North Main, where the art train parks when it's in town. And we met there for a month or two, I think. And then we rented some space at the Unitarian Church. We used their sanctuary for, I can't remember, it seems like 3 or 4 weeks. And then Sally Searles, who was on the board and happened to be in charge of the rental program for Ann Arbor Public Schools, found us a place at Allen School. And that was perfect. You know, we had a room to store everything, and we started meeting at Allen School, and we met there for 7 or so years, and it was a perfect place for us. One of the things that we had to do was create the structure of how we're going to operate. We decided early on that it was important that we be an egalitarian organization, that we not have a dictatorship, and that people be invited to participate. We had, right from the start, people were invited to participate in doing readings and meditations, and the only thing that we asked was keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, please. You know, we didn't say read this, read that, or do it this way or do it that way. It was up to the individual to feel like it was theirs to do as they saw fit and in accordance with their spirituality. One of the things we tried to do was get the newsletter off the ground. That was a struggle, just because there were so many other things going on. I think the first issue of the Interfaith Inquirer, as it was called in those days, sounds like a tabloid, doesn't it? Yes, well, that's why it was changed to the Interfaith Inspirer at some point. We really tried to make this a place that was welcoming. We hired senior moments. Geez, please don't do that to me. This is really embarrassing.
Are you thinking of Lisa Harder-Lucas with the?
No. No. The longer I wait, the more embarrassed I am. I can see her, our first, Sue Booker, there you go. I was blocking Sue Booker's name. We hired Sue as our first youth ed director, and she was joined in a few months by a wonderful young woman named Mary Beth Gandy. She was just the perfect person to energize the kids, and we tried to organize and operate a system of lessons that worked for kids and taught them how wonderful they are and to encourage them to grow spiritually. So it was an interesting time, shall we say. There was a lot of work that went on. There was a lot of people that participated, and I'm so very grateful that 25 years on, we're still functioning. So I think that I'm really delighted to be kicking off this celebration and to see what we've created space-wise, organizationally, spiritually, that we're actually a community that appreciates love and kindness, and hooray for us. So I think I've used up my 10 minutes.